Welcome to part 3, ladies and gents, the last and final part of me talking too damn much, and I hope you're enjoying all of these because this is the last one. Now back onto the business end of things. A few other recent happenings. It seems that PD are hiring more staff, not just on the sound end of things, but in other fields that they have, like 3D modelers and a few more departments. Good news for Gran Turismo 7 maybe? We shall see. On to bigger and better things, as they say. And back onto the topics that I'm going to talk about now. One other big thing that has been brought up in the forums as of late is the future of Gran Turismo's offline. When I say offline, I mean career mode, arcade mode, and just the general gameplay. I agree with the players that are concerned with this because it is crucial to the single player element and longevity of the game. Some will say just play online, but not everyone wants to play online, okay? Plus, I believe if the game's offline mode is improved, then the online will be a whole load better. The offline mode is the foundation of the game, really. Improve on that as a main and you have a really solid game. One good way to improve the offline mode for GT is that the AI needs a real heap of polish. There's been too many complaints about stuff like this, and with things like the serious rubber banding, effective opponents, chase rabbit style racing, lack of standing starts which leads to really spread out packs, and just lack of overall AI challenge. The AI should challenge me, not to ram me off the track and not to be cruise missiles all the time, but just to be on pace, give me a bit of harassment, and follow as a pack. There needs to be some balance to that AI. I know it can't be perfect, but it can at least be good, and I think PD should take info and notes from other games, and heck, even best motoring and hot versions 5-lap battles. I mean, it's in their backyard, so you know, get some info from that, you know, YouTube it, see what happens. And they should do this just to see, let's say, how the AI behaves and program it into GT, and that's just as an example. It's really interesting and it could bring in some new bounce for GT as well. And some other additions to the offline mode like event creators, and the last thing that I rate will change the offline mode experience is adding some variety to the career mode by way of new types of event. Ooh, that didn't come out properly. By new types of events and disciplines. When I mean that, I mean we need new and different disciplines like drifting, autocross, point-to-point races, toge, and even making more use of the game's weather and time engine to give different scenarios and situations. This would be great for licenses. So you'll complain and say that you don't know how to drift, then at least trying it can be handicapped for you. What's wrong with trying something new? Circuit racing is cool and all, but it's becoming so mundane now, and the career mode really needs a big refreshment. Speaking of disciplines, Rally should actually have a bigger presence in GT7. In GT6 it feels as though that Rally has taken a back seat, and man, I love Rally. Man, I really wish it can come back. Rally come back, anyone? Another nice set of events which can be like coffee breaks would be to have like a cone challenge like what PGR4 did. Throwback right there. And a time trial where you must get the fastest time but also avoid traffic cones, otherwise there'll be penalties. And I really think that the developers at PD can do something like this because it's refreshing, it's new, and it's creative as well. You know, get the creative juices flowing and spew that into the game. And some more of those special events would be cool too. And if GT gets that kind of variety in their offline mode and just had the improvements that we need right now, that offline will be solid as a rock, and it can only make me wonder what the online is going to be like. And the licenses are okay in GT6 right now, but I think the GT4 type of licenses would be better, maybe with a few mods and upgrades from there. Those were plenty and it did improve your driving by the sheer skill it took to gold them. And GT6, it just slammed the licenses in the backseat. They weren't really a crucial element to the gameplay like they were in previous games. It's lost its element of achievement in that you just play to get it. You don't use it to unlock other things in the game, and it's not so much as an achievement. That's just like what it is. And speaking of unlocking things actually, I really hope that GT7 doesn't become like some other games out there, like where it's pay to win rather than actually using skill to unlock cards and also events. And several events shouldn't be accessible if you don't have the correct license, and some of the greatest cards in the game should be won rather than using microtransactions or to do extreme grinding to get them. And I really think that microtransactions shouldn't taint the GT series. Rather, the game should be generous with prize cards and even credits. There should be better balance in that aspect. Some grinding is okay, but not too much. And the gameplay must be exciting, so at least the little bit of grinding that you do have to do, it can at least be fun, you know? Especially for an event creator and all that stuff. And with difficulty, there should be a steady but shallow incline to the difficulty curve. I suppose that the option to change difficulty can work, But some say they wouldn't like events to be locked because they can't finish a certain type of event. But really, I think that locked events should stay for the sake of progression. They shouldn't be outright impossible to do, but they should provide a little bit of challenge. Of course, I think there should be a handicap of sorts for those who aren't skilled drivers or just don't have the time to do it really, but there needs to be some difficulty. That's how you better your skills. Making things easy if no challenge and to even use microtransactions will not improve your skills of driving, will just make you a lazy player. But anyways, moving on, before that gets too deep. Now, a 3D car view of sorts would be quite nice to have too. Now check this, it takes 6 months, take it 6 months to develop a car for Gran Turismo so it can make it into the game. That includes your modeling, licensing, actually going and sounding the car and all that stuff. And you know, I'd like to appreciate all that work that has gone into modeling the cars in the form of a 3D viewer where I can view the car in different environments that is at my control. Some will say just use photo mode, but that's a totally different feature for a totally different purpose. We can have something like, let's say, Forza's Auto Vista, but our own version in a respect. And some areas to view the car would be like, let's say, a home driveway, race garage, car showroom, mountain range, etc. That would be the coolest, you know? And it's cool to see the little details. And it will be a great weapon for YouTubers as a free viewing and no UI like in the background and stuff, so you can create some pretty cinematic stuff. And that can also go along with a very good replay mode as well with different angles, like let's say GoPro-esque angles and all that other panning shots and stuff like that. But back to the topic though. The viewer will be especially nice to look at things like interiors and liveries, and then it's a novelty aspect as well, and it's great to take photos with. About liveries actually, if a livery editor does come about, like let's say a simple creator, that would be cool, but at least it's something where I can add manufacturer decals and let's say I can even import my own designs. And the livery editor is actually really long overdue for GT. But I think something like, let's say, a report feature would have to be added because there's always going to be that stupid soul who's going to put something offensive or something really dumb, which does happen. I mean, you can't prevent that kind of stuff. So there should be sanctions for that, and yeah, let's have a report feature as well. And on to the last and very last topic I'm going to talk about, and that is the presentation of Gran Turismo, saving the best for last. And for me, I loved GT3 and GT4's presentation, from the tailor-made music to the vibrant and creative user interface menus. And the thing is with Gran Turismo 6, like according to an article that I read, Kaz said that they really had to cut down on a lot of things with Gran Turismo 6 and 5, you know, just to help with loading times and all that other stuff. And you know, for GT7, we can really expect something new for that, and I really hope that PD can do something now since they say that they have the power with the PS4. And the thing is, with those previous games that I mentioned now, GT3 and 4, the games had soul and life within their UI. The music and everything, it tied in together, it was in unison. You know, it wasn't too professional and it did the job nicely. One thing I really miss from Gran Turismo 3 especially was the music and the Go Race menus and the event cards for all those race series, which gave the race series a sense of identity. That kind of graphic design and artistic touch should return with the event variety and different cars and all the other touches that PD wants to put. And I really think that artists like, let's say, Isamu Ohira and Makoto should make music for the GT menus, and maybe some other artists can come together as well, have a jam session and create a special soundtrack for Gran Turismo 7's user interface. You know, something that's custom and tailor-made to capture GT7 and give a better sense of identity. That's the thing which Gran Turismo needs. It needs a better identity and it just needs overall improvements. That's all it needs. And like, let's say things like tailor-made music and game OSTs, they haven't had that kind of touch in a while. And you know, even some budding artists can come along and it will be very nice, just as long as it improves the overall presentation experience. And what's nice also is that some members on the GT Planet forum have even taken it onto themselves to design their own forms of user interfaces and other aspects of the game, some with new features in mind. And really, some players out there are really talented, and I think that it will be nice and maybe, let's say, a kind of an ode to the community if PD gets together, takes their ideas and designs and implements them in the next GT to make the best UI that can ever be imagined, even just to take some inspiration from them. And yeah, that's actually the last thing there. And really, all of these factors that I've mentioned in the past videos and such, they should really be taken into account by PD for the betterment of Gran Turismo. And yeah, Kaz has said himself with GT7 that with the PS4 they can do some really hectic things on that, and basically much more than what we expected on the PS3. So really, if PD plays their cards right, we will have another great title to play, and you know, just certain things that we can also expect as well. And also, another thing I have to say is that there's plenty of people out there with great suggestions, and from really great people from, let's say, the GT Planet forums and many other places, all of which can actually immensely improve the games. And thanks to everyone out there for all your efforts and inputs, and as well as putting time into these inputs and hoping, well, not really hoping, but letting these inputs actually come into the vid. You know, that's really where a lot of the things and inspiration and stuff came from, you know. But yeah, that's all I really got to say, and that's the last thing I'm going to talk about. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed about what I talked about and mentioned in these videos, and maybe more of these actually soon, where I talk and do this kind of other stuff, you know, and maybe some actual gameplays, because I actually really need to do that. So that's nothing I really need to do. But anyways guys, it's Tayeedzsa here, and I guess I shall be seeing you guys around in the new year, in the holiday season, which I hope you guys are enjoying, and have a good one, and I'll see you guys around. Peace.